Welcome to a session in which we will discuss why entrepreneurs want to grow their business. In the earlier session, we defined growing business means substantially increasing revenues of the business. We also defined the word substantially in this context. But there must be a reason as to why entrepreneur wants to achieve this growth. In this session, we will discuss important reasons of an entrepreneur to grow her business. To understand these reasons, we will use an example. Sarita is an entrepreneur who owns a business which buys coconuts as raw material and makes cold-pressed oil. Sarita sells this oil mainly to the households in her town. We can see here the P and L of her business for the first year. Sarita started her business in a rented location. She took a loan to buy a machine and other equipment. The business made losses in the first year because Sarita did not make and sell enough oil to make profits. She had to spend money from her pocket to repay a part of the loan that was due at the end of the first year. Sarita promised herself that she would change things in the business and make the business profitable next year. Let's now look at the main reasons which entrepreneurs have for growing their businesses. The first reason why an entrepreneur may want to grow her business is to achieve economies of scale. We will first need to understand the meaning of the phrase economies of scale. It means that the per unit cost of making a product or a service comes down when a business makes and sells higher volume. Per unit costs include fixed costs and variable costs. As production and sales volume increases, variable costs also increase due to more consumption of raw material and labor. But fixed costs usually don't increase or they don't increase much. Hence, it becomes cheaper to make and sell 1 unit of product. To understand this better, let's return to Sarita's business. As we saw earlier, Sarita had promised herself to make her business profitable at the end of the second year. Sarita couldn't increase the price as she was afraid of losing customers. So, in the second year, she decided to make and sell more oil. As she was the only worker, she had to work longer hours to do that. We can see the fruits of her extra efforts in the second year's P and L. The business made a reasonable amount of profit. This enabled Sarita to make that year's loan repayment. So, what made the business profitable? To understand what changed from the first year to the second year, let's look at the fixed costs and variable costs of the business in the first 2 years. As we can see, the fixed costs did not change in the second year, but the variable costs increased as the raw material, electricity, and transportation costs went up. This is because the sales volume increased significantly from the first to the second year. Naturally, variable costs such as raw material, etc. increased. Now, let's find out how much did it cost the business to make and sell 1 unit of coconut oil in each year. We will do that by dividing the total costs by sales volumes for each year. In the first year, the cost of producing and selling 1 unit of oil was much higher than the price. Hence, the business made losses. It is only when Sarita increased the volume in the second year. The per unit cost reduced enough to make significant profits. This concept of having to make and sell higher volumes to overcome high levels of fixed and variable costs is called achieving economies of scale. Hence, the main reason of Sarita to grow her business at the end of the first year was to start making profits. She used the concept of economies of scale to lower the per unit cost to make her business profitable. The second reason why an entrepreneur wants to grow her business is to strengthen the business's net worth so that it can withstand difficult times. The healthiest way to grow the net worth of a business is by growing retained earnings and by making sure that these are available to business as cash. Healthy net worth helps a business face uncertainty, such as a sudden decrease in demand for its products, which can lead to heavy losses. It can help a business make large purchases, such as machinery. Healthy net worth also makes more working capital available to the business so that it can run smoothly and grow further. Let's now return to Sarita's business to understand this point better. As discussed earlier, at the end of the second year, Sarita's business is profitable. We can see the balance sheet of Sarita's business at the end of the year, but just before she has to repay a part of the loan. The net worth is a significant number. Will the business have sufficient cash left after repaying the loan? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Sarita realizes that most of the net worth is available to the business in the form of an asset, which is machinery, and not cash and bank balance. As soon as she uses the current bank balance and cash to repay the loan, the business will have very little cash left, as we can see here. So, if there is an emergency such as major repairs that are needed for the machine, or if demand for coconut oil suddenly drops in her town, the business will be in trouble. Hence, Sarita will have to further grow the business and strengthen its net worth so that there is a strong cash and bank balance. The third reason why an entrepreneur grows her business is to increase her income and wealth. Let's go back to Sarita's business at the end of the third year. While she has run the business well for 3 years, she has been getting just enough salary to take care of household expenses. But she has many aspirations. She would like to buy a fridge, kitchen appliances, books for her daughter, and save a reasonable amount. For her to realize these goals, she will need to further grow the business. She knows that there is enough demand for coconut oil and she can easily sell more oil. This means she will have to produce more oil. But she can't do that on her own. So she decides to hire a worker who can work in the evening shifts to produce more oil. This helps her grow the business in the fourth year. Let's look at the summary P&L of the business for the third and the fourth year. As we can see, the business has generated higher revenues and net profits during the fourth year compared to the third year. Let's also look at the important elements of the balance sheet at the end of the third year and the fourth year. Sarita feels that the overall financial condition of the business has improved. As the equity holder of the business, she decides to take out a significant share of the profits. She also plans to increase her monthly salary during the next year. Sarita thus benefited from the growth in the business as she is able to increase her income and wealth significantly to fulfill some of her wishes. The last reason which we will discuss as to why an entrepreneur grows her business is to increase her social standing. As we saw earlier, during the 4th year, Sarita grew her business by employing a worker to increase production of oil. The woman that Sarita hired as a worker comes from a very poor family. Sarita has been paying her a reasonable monthly salary. This has helped the worker run her household well. The worker otherwise might not have been able to generate any income as she has no major skills and capital. Sarita feels satisfied that she helped someone who was in need of money. In the process, Sarita's social standing in the town increases as people praise her for giving an opportunity to a poor and needy person. To summarize, an entrepreneur is interested in growing her businesses for one or more of the 4 reasons. The first reason is to achieve economies of scale by reducing per unit cost so that the business becomes profitable. The second is to strengthen the net worth of the business so that it can deal with uncertainties. The next reason is to increase her income and wealth. The fourth and last reason to increase her social standing. Now that we understand the reason behind the decision to grow a business, in the forthcoming sessions, we will look at different strategies used by entrepreneurs to grow their business.